I think it was a month later, without any sort of notification, without any emails back and forth. It just all of a sudden appeared on lifehacker.com.
Welcome to the Disruptware Podcast. Whether you're just starting up or scaling your software business, we interview the experts with ideas and strategies you can implement today. Now here's your host, Paul Clifford.
So on today's show, I have a young gentleman called Trevor Page, who's joining me to talk about his new startup, which is called Survey to Sale. And it's an amazing little app. And, I'm not going to go into the great detail. I'm going to let Trevor explain it to you. Essentially, it's a tool that it really increases the sales on any website, right?
That is the gist. Yeah, I managed to solve that age-old problem of I need more customers. So I'm happy to talk about that today on your podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, a bit about yourself. When did you get started? Because I think you've always been a coder, developer. From that's your passion. That's at heart. Yeah.
Yep, more or less from birth. I was introduced to coding at a very young age. My father grew up as a coder himself, so he passed that down, passed the torch on to his son. And I've been doing it pretty much since I was about 10 years old. And, fell in love with it and sort of went through the whole typical path of going to university, learning through computer science is what I took in university, graduating, getting a job. But then around probably 2012, late 2012, I decided to quit my full-time job as a programmer, my nice cushy office job, and decided to throw myself into this completely unknown world of entrepreneurship. So.
Yeah.
Been fun so far.
Okay, now I got to ask you, what was the program you wrote when you were 10 years old?
Oh my God, that's good. So I've never been asked that question. It was a program that at the time, I'm a complete nerd, so I don't know if your listenership will even know what the heck I'm talking about, but who knows? So I was a nerd, and I was really into what were they called? Bulletin board systems, BBSs, way back. Yeah. Okay, cool. When I was a youngin', and there was a game that was on these bulletin board systems called Lord, Legend of the Red Dragon, and all it was a text-based sort of role-playing game. And I fell in love with it. And the problem with these BBSs is that you had to call in with your dial-up modem, and if anyone else was on at the time, you just got a busy signal. So it was very difficult to dial into these BBS systems. So I said, you know what? I'm tired of waiting to play my game. I'm just going to make it myself. So I think that was my first program that I created, was like a text-based Legend of the Red Dragon game on, I think it was a QBasic programming language. So yeah, good question.
Wow. I remember those days too, the bulletin boards, which obviously predates the internet.
Correct.
But, I remember everything was about the fastest modem you could get. You remember?
56K, baby.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was pre-you. So I was like, I think 1200 baud. It was
yes,
BAUD board,
correct.
I think we called it.
I had the 2400 baud was when when I started as a youngin' myself, but then I upgraded to the 56K. So
yeah,
good times
and everything. And then they had and then the compression came in, and you had I wonder if that actually gzip compression actually came in about that time. Because compressing the data, because the physical technology was obviously a lot slower. And people came up with the software technology to compress data to send it over the modem so you can actually get more data across.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah, and then obviously the compression then went into the modems themselves, and then of course once you got up to like ISDN, when those days came out,
mm-hmm.
the internet came in, and obviously we know the history from there, right?
That's right.
That's fascinating, isn't it? Don't get me talking about my inner geek.
I know, that's what I'm literally biting my tongue because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole that we started. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll stop here.
Brilliant. So, you obviously, been in development a long time, and you even started up a blog and started to teach other people, how to develop in Java, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I sort of learned that I was a decent teacher Well, actually, I say it was when I was in my job, but my mom always said that I was a good teacher, and I never actually listened to her because it's your mom, and she always, they always try to encourage you. So I didn't listen to her, but it was really I realized on my own in my professional job that I was a great teacher because I was bringing these junior programmers on board very, very quickly onto my team to the point where I could leave them alone with a problem. I could just throw a problem at them and say, hey, so and so, I need you to fix this. And I can come back at the end of the day and be confident that they fixed it and fixed it correctly. So that was interesting for me to sort of stumble upon. So I decided to take this skill and apply it to this new entrepreneurial venture, which I started with a programming blog, and put the two together. And it took off. It went very well. I got picked up by a big name in the industry. Lifehacker.com published an article about me, and literally got 10,000 hits within the first few hours of being on Lifehacker. It was insane, and ever since my traffic has sort of blown up from that point, and I've seen a lot of great comments, great feedback from people who are going through and learning from my materials on my blog. And I even went forward and actually just took most of that content and put in some unique content and published a book too. So I went the book route, published that on Amazon, and even started a video tutorials website based around the exact same topic, teaching people the Java programming language. So it's been fun.
That's brilliant. I mean, so you've done a whole load of things, The book, I mean, that must have taken some time putting all that together, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a slow process, but I mean, I was I was very enthusiastic about the whole process. So I was publishing, content to my blog 3, 4, 5 times a week. Nice, good quality articles about the Java programming language, and in sort of chronological order is how I was putting it all together. So basically, the way I wish I was taught when I was in high school and university is how I put together my materials. And it seems like how I wish I was taught is also how other people wish they could be taught, because they seem to resonate well with it. So I think that's why it really became the success that it has. I've seen from it. It is because of the way I'm putting it together and the way I'm teaching it to the people.
Got it. Which is really interesting, because there's so much material out there, and I think anyone who wants to start up anything can probably find the information, but being able to communicate and train and educate people, I think that is where the real skill is. Being able to communicate and bring people, forward in their learning. And you obviously have that, because, I've seen your site and I've seen, you're getting lots of great feedback. But tell me a bit about, Lifehacker. So, I mean, that was great to get exposure there, but was there any sort of specific things you did to actually get published on there?
Absolutely. So, great question. I literally just reached out to them. I was trying to find ways to just tell them that my blog existed. So I sort of went into my sort of repertoire of websites that I visited, and I sort of cross-referenced that with my teaching materials. And I said, okay, would this website that I visit on a regular basis, would these guys be interested in publishing my stuff for their readers or listeners or whatever? And when I found a match, I just went on their website and tried to find a way to communicate with them. So in the case of Lifehacker, there was a little thing at the bottom of the page that just said, send us tips. So you just send an email to tips@lifehacker.com, and short little email. I kept it nice and concise. I said, my name's Trevor. I just created a new blog, or I'm in the process of creating a new blog. I teach people how to program. I know that you have published articles about programming before, so I think this stuff might be of interest to your readers. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't anything fancy. And within, I think it was a month later, without any sort of notification, without any emails back and forth, it just all of a sudden appeared on lifehacker.com, this article about my how to program with java.com blog. So it was quite a surprise.
That's brilliant. So literally just reaching out to them. So, that's great to hear. And I think for many people, are probably sitting there thinking, I'd love to get published on something like that. And probably don't even think about doing the obvious, just trying to contact them,
Mm-hmm.
because I think many people think, well, I'll just never get exposure there. And I guess the lesson in that is just to go out and do it. You've got nothing to lose, right? You just need to spend some time finding the right way in and send them a really good, strong email.
Yeah, and I mean to add a little bit more to that. So this is now, I mean, that was great. That was fantastic. That worked out well for me. So I tried to repeat that same thing across many, many other websites, probably 20 or so that I contacted after that. And I don't know, it's like they can smell it or something. They can smell the sales pitch or something in your email, because it never worked. It never worked for any of the next 20 websites that I contacted.
Oh,
So,
right.
so I mean, it could be that the 21st people I messaged would have picked me up and gone with it. So I think it's just like you said, you just need to reach out, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, you just can't beat yourself up about it. You just got to keep on going.
Okay, so it's a numbers game.
That's right.
Okay. All right. I was hoping you had some sort of art, some trickery that we could
Well, I mean, I've tried many tricks. I mean, if you want me, I can talk about the tricks that I tried that failed. I mean, there's plenty of those. So it's your call.
Well, sure. I mean, just maybe just give like 3 little tidbits of things not to do then.
Yeah,
because they're obviously working.
One thing I tried heavily was to, and maybe this is the fault of mine, I was trying to get republished on Lifehacker.
Right.
So I tried reaching out to the original gentleman who published an article about me through Twitter, and I tried to establish a sort of relationship with him in terms of thanking him for the initial post, telling him a little bit about my story and how he, more or less changed my life with that one article. And he responded, and he was very positive, and he said, that sounds great. I'm so happy that I could, do this for you. And then, it was jab. And then when I went for that right hook and introduced him to this new venture I had, nothing came of it. So it's, maybe I didn't throw enough jabs before I tried to, sell him on this new venture I had. Who knows? But that tactic didn't work out well for me. And one more I tried was I had my customers, or at least my fans of my stuff, reach out to Lifehacker through the same medium that I did. So sending it to tips@lifehacker.com, and just using honest feedback. They sent messages to them saying, hey, this Trevor guy has great content. I love it. I've never seen anything, as good as this anywhere on the internet. And they were trying to get my video tutorials course on Lifehacker. That's the whole reason behind it. But I mean, I probably had 50 people email Lifehacker, all with fantastic things, and still nothing has come of it. And that was probably late 2013 that happened. So I mean, it's been over 6 months, and I haven't seen anything come of it. So I tried, but there you go. That's obviously an approach that doesn't work either. You gotta be in the right place at the right time, it seems.
I mean, it could be simply that your first thing was a course, and it was something that they wanted to talk about at that time. It was probably hot.
Exactly.
And of course, they don't necessarily want to talk about that again and again.
Exactly.
So it could literally be that.
So that's the takeaway, right? So now you can iterate on that and maybe sniff out some other websites that are talking about your type of material, whatever it is your material is. Right. If you have the suspicion that they may talk about it soon, then reach out to them. So,
absolutely.
A little bit of research goes a long way.
So let's talk about your new startup, because I'm really excited about that, because I've seen that a couple of times, and funny enough, it was something I was thinking about doing last year.
Oh yeah.
Obviously never got around to it, but not quite the same, obviously. But one of the great tools and great businesses around now is called Qualaroo, and they're really good at trying to identify with the people the other side of the website, by using like online questionnaires and things like that. And I've done surveys and things to my audience, but to actually get people and entice people to give you that data is really quite hard work. And so you've kind of taken that concept or that idea and then twisted it and made it really work. Perhaps you'd be better off explaining it.
Absolutely, sure. I would absolutely love to. So you hit it, nail on the head there. It's I had the same sort of thought. I wanted to survey my audience with one of my products that I was building up, and I knew that if I just reached out and cold emailed them and asked for a survey, or if I put a survey on my website, it's just you're going to get a low response rate. You just know it going into it. So you need to give them a reason to fill out that survey. I call it incentivizing the survey. And I racked my brain over how I could incentivize this survey to give them something to make them want to fill it out. And I landed on a coupon code. So I created this little widget that asks your first survey question that you want to ask your audience, and it entices them with this little sort of bubble that says you can save X amount. So whether it's $5 or 10% or $50, whatever you like, it's right there in front of their faces. So this thing pops up, and it's not intrusive. It's in the bottom right hand corner. It's nice and out of the way. It slides up and doesn't take up a lot of real estate on your screen, but it's enough to capture their eye. And they see this first question, and the first question can be something very simple, like how did you hear about us? Or what's your age range, or I don't know, whatever it is that you want to ask your audience. But they see that little bubble that says save 10%, and they say, oh, interesting, I can save 10% off of this product if I just give them this one little answer. So they'll say, okay, well, I heard about you on Google. I'm willing to give up that information. And then they say next. But then what happens is the magic. The save 10% bubble sort of gets bigger or bubbles up, and it changes from save 10% to say save 15%, and the second question is on the screen. So now they're hooked, and I've seen this work over and over and over again. Now they want to see how much they can save, because it's this psychological trick or technique of it's not a bait and switch, but it's this reward that you can gain. And you're working towards it. So you're working towards this reward that you don't know how far you can get with. And it's almost like gamification. And so they'll fill out the survey, and then at the very end, you give them their reward, their coupon code. And because they put in this effort to attain this coupon code, they're much, much, much more likely to redeem the coupon code and purchase your product than if you were to just flat out offer them the coupon code without them, giving any sort of work in return. So that it works really, really well. And, for myself personally, I've seen an increase month over month now. Every single month I've seen an increase of 200% in my sales since before I installed this widget. So it's been 3 months running because it's a brand new widget. But for 3 months, I've beat my best sales month ever 3 times in a row now. So it's quite exciting.
That's brilliant. So, essentially like double your conversion rate.
Exactly.
This tool will double your conversion rate, and I guess obviously pay for itself, within its first month, obviously depending on what your product is.
Yeah, and I mean my product. I mean, I was selling an ebook for $15, and I was receiving maybe around 1,000 to 1,500 visits to my website a month. So I mean, this is relatively speaking for myself, that's not a very high volume or high traffic website. And it's a fairly low price point. So I was able to double my sales, and absolutely within the first 2 weeks, I would have technically paid off the license cost for survey to sale for the entire year. I would have paid it off in the first 2 weeks. So it's quite effective. And I've seen this sort of, and that's just myself. I've seen this sort of these results from my customers that actually use it. One of them is John Dumas. Do you know him from Entrepreneur on Fire?
Oh yeah. He's a great guy.
He's awesome. I mean, he's been a very big supporter of myself and the survey to sale widget. He installed it on his product page where he sells membership to Podcasters Paradise, his mastermind group. And before installing this thing, he was seeing more or less $0 in passive income for his sales. So most of his sales occurred on webinars. So it's very non-passive sales funnel that he had. So then he was interested in this survey to sale widget because I'd sent him a video explaining, what it's all about, and he was very excited. He installed it. And within the first month of him using it, he went from more or less $0 in sales to $12,115 in sales.
Right. Wow.
So just incredible results. I would never have guessed that it would have worked that well. So I'm quite excited.
That's brilliant. And so this is just launched, right? So you I think you went live, was it last month?
Yeah, I mean, I went live. John Dumas was pretty much my first real customer, and that was February 1st. He went live with it.
Wow, that's brilliant. And how's it coming along so far? What are your plans for the tool?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm more or less I'm done I'm past my minimum viable product stage, so that's great. That's a sort of a goal that I've hit, which I'm very excited about. And now I'm just sort of implementing the new features that all the customers are asking for. So things like integrating with other email delivery systems. So right now it integrates with Aweber, it integrates with Office Autopilot and MailChimp. So you can actually automatically grow your email list with this tool as well, because you can ask the question on your survey. You can say, what is your best email address? And when they type it in, you can have it linked directly up to your email delivery system, and you can get those people right into your automated sales funnel. So that's another cool thing that this widget does. As well as one feature that John had asked for, he wanted a countdown timer at the end of the survey. So I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So I threw in a countdown timer as well. So, it counts down whatever you like, however many minutes or seconds or days or whatever you want to give. It'll count down from like 10 minutes saying your coupon code will expire in. And so it just causes that urgency to seal the deal when it comes to the sale. So it's nice. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The scarcity value,
exactly.
The Robert Cialdini principle.
Oh, I love his book.
Yeah, no, he's
I've got it right behind me. I read it, cover to cover. Great stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the cornerstones of every marketing bookshelf.
Oh, beautiful.
I went to see him live actually in New York once. It's very inspiring stuff. So that's cool. So you've got good roadmap coming. Tell me about traffic. So you've got some experience in getting traffic to your other sites. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do in terms of getting exposure to this? Obviously, there's my podcast, and that's going to get you some customers. But in terms of general traffic strategy, what's your thinking around that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's the obvious routes like embedding a blog and giving away great great content on the blog. That's something that I think is a cornerstone for any sort of traffic generating strategy. But one thing that I'm doing now that's nice because I can do it with this app is that you can have a link inside of the survey itself. So you can have your little branding on the widget to say, powered by survey to sale. And that generates 33% of my overall traffic that comes to my website right now. So having that little, logo on there is very good when you are on a customer's website whose customer base are also your customer base. So a good example of that is John Dumas. He sells his products to entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are sort of my demographic. So because he has this widget on his website and other entrepreneurs are seeing it, they see it, they realize the value in it, and then they want to know how to get it themselves. So they click on Powered by Survey to Sale, and that's how they land on my website and become customers. So that's one cool strategy that I've implemented that seems to be working really well.
Brilliant. And I guess you're doing so guest posting and content marketing on other blogs as well?
So I haven't done that just yet right now because I am sort of fresh out of the gate. My initial strategy is, like you said, I'm going on podcasts, getting the word out that way. That's been my main sort of driving or sales driving factor, if you will. But eventually, once I get my blog up and running, then I'm going to go into the guest blogging and whatnot. Although what's what's interesting is I just received a message from. I signed up for Neil Patel's traffic lead program with Quick Sprout, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
And he just sent an email, whether or not it was in his automated funnel or not, or if it was a live email that he just sent today, I don't know. But he was talking about guest posting and how that is becoming something that you should be a little bit wary of. It's almost like guest posting is becoming today's blog comment spamming type thing. So I mean, there's only so far you can go before you start to actually get penalized, which was something that was very shocking to me. I had no idea that that was turning into that. I don't know if you've ever read anything about that topic or not, but I literally read it today and I thought, well, I should talk to someone about this. This is interesting.
Well, what's interesting, so that I don't know when you got that, but so I had a conversation with Neil about that topic.
Okay.
Because that was on the back of an announcement that Matt Cutts recently made,
Right.
about the fact that they're going to look at introducing a penalty filter on guest posting, guest blogging, and what it's geared towards is, since guest blogging became popular, there was like an army of automated tools and automated content generators, and in fact not all of it was automated in terms of the content generation, but the point is that a lot of guest posting, guest blogging was done just for link acquisition.
And that comes across when you're lacking quality, really, is what ends up happening, and that's what Google's trying to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could assume.
Yeah, and Google's principle is that they're obviously trying to avoid, as they call it, gaming the system. But of course, everyone in the whole world wants to know how to get more exposure on Google, so you're going to try different tactics and techniques. And what might be white hat today might be black hat tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ethical work that was going on, but it's just not going to work in the future. So, is guest blogging going to go away? No, it's not at all. And I think the key thing that people should focus on is producing the best quality content they can. And every bit of content that I put out, I mean, a lot of it is podcasts, videos, and things like that, but I invest a lot of time in making sure that content is the best it could possibly be, because it's evergreen, it lasts forever, and it's your voice out on the web. And whether it's used for a guest post or whatever, I want to make sure that anyone touching that, comes out of it with a good quality experience. Either they've learned something, or however it might be. And I think if you focus on that, and when you reach out to communities and blogs to guest post on, that you're focused on their audience and their traffic rather than the links. Yeah. So if you go at it from a traffic perspective and make sure you're adding values, good quality content, and if you think in that way and reach out to people that way, then you'll continue, because having a post on someone else's blog with a backlink, that's just not going to get penalized, because that's the essence of the web, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's the way everything works. So that's not going to get penalized. I think that they will know, and they'll develop their algorithm to look at the volume people, and that's where the risk comes in. So I don't know if Neil's published something recently, but I know that we had a discussion on guest posting at that time when I interviewed Neil, and and we sort of agreed on that point, and that's the big thing. Guest posting is not going to die, but you just need to focus on it for traffic rather than links.
Yeah, and I think also what was mentioned in the article that he sent was the relevance. So whatever it is that you're posting about, you're doing your guest post about, should be relevant to what the website talks about in general. So I think as long as you can stay on the course that way, then that will certainly never be a bad thing. Absolutely.
Great. So, it sounds like you've got a great product. You're focused on that. You've got some traffic, strategy, and a really neat one, I think, with embedding your logo as well. That's going to be really, really cool. If anyone's, listening to this, then that they can go to, is it surveytosale.com?
Yep, survey to sale. Could be the number 2, could be the word 2, TO. It's, I've purchased all the domains, so you should be able to land on the right page no matter which one you type in.
Good. Well, you get a thumbs up from me, because so many people forget to do that. And it's one of the things that, I always teach in my communities, is that if you come up with a name and you think it's a really good name, for God's sake, buy all the domains. Yeah. Don't just buy the .com.
Yeah, the test I did for that, if this is helpful, hopefully it is for your listeners, was when I told people the name of my product or my website, I would tell it to them once, and I'd say, write it down. and I looked at what they wrote down, and it's incredible the different variations that you see that they write down. So that led me to purchasing survey-the2-sale.com. I purchased survey to sell, SELL.com. Perhaps there's a southern accent going on in there. I don't know.
Right.
So it was a really interesting exercise for finding out, just from saying, here's the name of my product, now write it down, what comes out of the mix. So that's a good strategy for buying domains.
And you bought the .net, the .org, and you don't have to buy necessarily every single one, but
Right,
at least all the main ones, right?
The main ones, yes. I didn't buy all the net and orgs and all that for every single one, but yeah, the main one exactly, for sure.
Yeah, because you do get people out there, piggybacking your brand, and I hate that,
Mm-hmm.
And I guess trademarking as well. It's something that once you've settled on a good name and brand, and you want to like really back it, then you should trademark it as well, because not for the obvious reason. So a lot of people think, well, you got to trademark it in case someone else publishes something and you want to sue them, because at the end of the day, not a lot of people, it's not about suing, because that's a big exercise and there's a lot of money involved. It's more, what I find is if someone publishes, say, a YouTube video that's talking about your product in a negative way, so in other words, defamation, you kind of want to get that removed. And if you've got a trademark, it's really easy to fill out the form with Google on YouTube with your trademark number, and it'll disappear the next day.
Incredible. I didn't know that. There you go.
So, as long as it's defamation, you know what I mean? It's got to be a negative video.
For sure.
If someone's just reviewing it with authority, then that's different. But there's a lot of videos that go up there who are just trying to piggyback your traffic. And the easiest way to get that removed is to fill out the form with Google, and you're in a lot stronger position to do that if you've got a trademark.
Good to know.
Yeah. There you go. Tip from Paul today.
Yeah. Pro tip with Paul Clifford.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Trevor, I've really enjoyed having you on the show. I think for anyone listening, it's a great tool. It's you can get it at Survey to Sale. Maybe you probably got it running on the site, so you can probably see. And I think you've got a free trial going, haven't you?
That's correct. Everything you said is correct. You can get a free trial. I just do actually, I just introduced it recently, a 14-day, no credit card required free trial. So there's no, very low barrier to entry. Get it on your site, get it set up, and see how it works. See how it goes. See how you like it, and then if you like it, you can sign up for the paid versions.
Excellent. Great, Trevor. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for that. And we're going to keep in touch. And for any listeners want to get hold of Trevor, then, I guess go to Survey to Sell and, fill out the contact form and have a chat.
Yeah, or just email me directly at trevor@surveytosale.com.
Now, to everyone listening to the show, Trevor and I are running a contest. Essentially, all you have to do is leave a comment in the comments box below and let us know what question you would like to ask your audience. In other words, whenever someone hits your site or looks at your product, what is the one question you want to ask them? Leave that in the comments box below, and we will pick 2 winners by the end of the month, and each of those winners will win an annual license to Survey to Sale. So that's worth $648 to you, so you can actually put this into action and increase your sales for absolutely nothing. So all you have to do is leave a comment below. We will choose the winners, and we'll let you know at the end of the month, and you could be a winner. So go to the blog disruptware.com and do that today. If you enjoyed the show, you can get the show notes from disruptware.com. And if you are not a subscriber and you're listening to this on the iTunes store, then please visit disruptware.com and sign up. That's it for this episode. Look out for next week's show. I'm Paul Clifford, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Disruptware podcast. Check us out on the web at disruptware.com.